Right, so welcome back to part 2 of Ryan Black. um, Last week Ryan spoke about the Scots College having a private audience with Pope Francis, so we're going to hear today about how he served Mass for Pope Francis. So Ryan, over to you.
Thank you. So this is going to be much more difficult to narrow down to 5 minutes, so I'll try and keep it brief. The long story short is that the Pontifical Scots College community hadn't been asked to serve for the Holy Father for a long time, a number of years, and we were asked, I think on the back of the private audience we spoke about last week in episode 1 of this Ask Father Tony, and so we were asked if we would serve the Easter Vigil at St. Peter's Basilica, which was just incredible, the most holy night of all nights in the Catholic calendar, and we were there with the successor of Peter at the tomb of Peter, watching all these kids and adults being baptised and confirmed and brought into the faith. What was probably most incredible was the procession into the basilica. Absolute darkness. It was amazing. So we met with the Holy Father before the Mass, and we all individually shook his hand, and he told us to calm down because we looked very nervous. And then we all got into line for the procession. We went out to the back of the basilica, and we did what the Pope does with the Easter candle and inscribed it and lit the Easter fire and the Easter candle. We then processed into the basilica in complete darkness, and then when we got to the sanctuary, some lights came on, which is it was really pitch black, so we had to see where we were going. And then we processed round to the back of the papal altar and up onto the steps. I had, I think, one of the coolest jobs of the night. I was the microphone bearer for Pope Francis, which was amazing. So myself and my diocesan brother, Joe McGill, he was the book bearer, and so we were with the Pope all night, which was incredible. 3 hours standing on the steps of the high altar in St. Peter's Basilica. We were there on duty, keeping an eye on the papal MCs. They would tell us when they needed us. Of course, we practiced all morning. Holy Saturday morning, the whole Scots College community was in the Basilica from early in the morning, and we spent hours and hours going over everything. What was difficult though is that when you practice it the day of, everyone's doing their own little bit. So while we were practicing, say, the baptisms with the Pope, although he wasn't at the practice, other people are practicing the offertory. So you don't really have an idea of what's happening in the Basilica during the Mass until it really happens. So that was a bit daunting. Luckily, I didn't trip anyone up. The Vatican doesn't believe in wireless microphones yet, so it was a big cable behind me. I didn't trip anyone up, which was great. I must admit, one thing that really was going through my head, this is the honest truth, is that I know the Pope's 80 years old, and I was thinking to myself, what if he has false teeth and I knock the Pope's teeth out during the Easter Vigil? I shouldn't have thought about it because I was petrified then going every time I approached the Pope. We also moved down to the baptismal font. There's some fantastic photos, and I'm standing next to Pope Francis for 10 or 15 minutes while he baptised 12 people. It was just the most incredible thing. You see all of these dignitaries, all of these people in the Basilica, thousands and thousands of people in St. Peter's Square watching this Mass. And I was standing at the tomb of St. Peter, I couldn't be much closer, with the successor of St. Peter as he brought all these children and adults into the faith. It was an incredible experience. The Mass continued, and then we processed out. We got a wonderful photo of the Pontifical Scots College community outside the Pietà, Michelangelo's famous statue, and then we went back to the Scots College and celebrated appropriately, having celebrated and served the Easter Vigil with Pope Francis. I'm very blessed to be a seminarian studying in Rome. As Father Tony mentioned last week, I have met the Pope twice in a year, which was just incredible, and I'm really grateful for the opportunity, and thanks for listening to my experience.
Thank you.